Hello there, I'm Colin, and today we're taking a look at color grading this shot in Premiere Pro. This is just going to be a basic rundown of some of the techniques I like to use for Lumetri Color when I'm color grading my shots. Let's go ahead and take a look at the clip now. Here we're just looking to get a simple grade that's not too outspoken. First thing I like to pull up is Lumetri scopes. I like to select the waveform and vector scope views. I decided to simply use the Luma version of the waveform in this case. Sometimes I use the RGB scopes, but when I'm doing a basic grade very quickly, I care more just about getting the brightness values right. I like to start out with the basic correction panel Lumetri Color. It allows me to get the broader details of the image where I want them to be, and then I adjust the curves and color wheels to fine-tune the shot. For every grade, I like to look at where my blacks are in the image. In this case, I see on my scopes that they're a little higher than I would like them to be. So I lower them a bit using the slider. This is where I'm probably wrong in this instance, as some shots may not have completely black values, but we're going for a grade, not necessarily a color correction. Next thing obviously is the white values. Since I didn't have anything blown out in this image, I like to raise them up just about to the 60-70 range. I find that this is just the most natural for a twilight sky. Next I look at adjusting the shadows and highlights. I'm finding that raising the shadows and lowering the highlights is the best approach to getting a softer starting point. Increasing the contrast also brings back some of those values we set earlier. I tried using one of Lumetri's looks, but ultimately I decided against it as I like the colors I was getting as is. I may go back in the future and adjust this though, and maybe do a part 2 on this shot. After this, I went back over to the temperature slider and I used the white balance selector in order to pick a white part of the image. This gave me a pretty quick approximation of what proper white balance should be. I think it ended up being a little bit too on the orange side, but it looks alright for what I'm doing here. Next thing is the curves. I took down the whites a little bit and bring down the blacks also just to give some more contrast. And then I add a bit of contrast in the shadows. This gives the shadows a harsher look where the sky starts to look more appealing. It kind of draws our eyes to the silhouette we see here as Kyle is coming into frame. After this, I moved over to the color wheels. In this case, the shadows got a tinge of blue, as well as the highlights. As I bring back the saturation into the image, the skin tones contrast nicely with the sky blue in the background. Finally, the last thing that I do here is I go back to my curves panel and I adjust the colors. Adjusting the blue values as well as the green values just to give it a little bit nicer feel to it. As you can see, I don't even really adjust them very far either. They're just there to kind of give you the hint of the change. So there we go. Let's look at the finished grade. If you're looking to get a quick cinematic grade very quickly, this isn't too bad. The key here, I think, was adjusting for contrast. Getting a nice, non-contrasted image to start off with by adjusting the highlights and shadows, and then subsequently contrasting that image to get a better starting point. You may have different thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. And that's it for the video. Thanks for watching.